Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on the Super Kai Guy channel. Today we will be working on my BMW i3. If you've seen the previous videos, you might be wondering why didn't he wash his car? Well, it's kind of hard to get your car washed if you're missing a window on the side. So in this video, I will be installing this used eBay window on my driver's side rear door. This window is not adjustable as far as like moving it up and down, so it should be pretty easy to install. Of course, I have the broken tabs from the previous glass that was broken off. This was a repossession, so somebody knocked the glass out in order to get inside the car, to open the doors or do whatever else they needed to do. I don't know. But our job is to basically remove these, clip it in the somewhere in the middle here, and attach these clips on the back of this glass to the door. And the way I will check for leaks, I'll just go to a car wash, run it through and see if it drips anywhere. If it does, I know I'll have to readjust it in certain parts of the glass. So let's get to it. All right, so here's the plan and what we're trying to do here. We need to remove this entire panel right here in order to get to the bolts that hold the glass on. So first things first, we're gonna move this handle back, and there's two little screws in here, and we're gonna use a T30. That's what's gonna allow us to take this off. I definitely recommend getting one of these kits, the Torx, Nico, whatever Torx. They're like 12 bucks, and literally half of the car that you need to take apart, half of the BMW that you're taking apart is gonna be using those bits. So you definitely should get them, and they're very useful. They were pretty loose already. So now we can remove the actual handle. Now we have another screw right here at the top, which I'm gonna remove now as well. And that's going to be a T20. All right. Now I'm going to use a trim tool and remove this trim first, this upper one. Okay, so we have one clip holding it in right here. There shouldn't be any more bolts, but these clips are pretty good in there, so you want to be careful not to break your trim, but also pull them out. If you do break the clips, not a big deal, you can replace them. They're not very expensive. You can get a kit on eBay of probably like 50 of them for 20 bucks. All right, so these are the 10 mil bolts that we need to take out in order to remove the old bracket. So that's the old one, obviously with the broken glass. And the second one. All right, so normally if I didn't have a broken glass, I could have just put the new glass in and it goes into this like a holder, like a slot in there. But since mine was actually broken, I see there's a lot of like old glass inside the clip. So I will have to take off the entire door trim. All right, so I put the car in the garage because it was getting way too cold in there. Less space here, but at least I'm not cold. So in order to get access to that glass part, I would have to actually remove this inner door as well. And that's kind of a pain because you have to remove the seat belt assembly. And these are like specially torqued bolts, and there's some other stuff that you need to replace. I think those are just like one-time use. They're like stretched to yield plastic bolts or something. So what I did instead is just use a pair of needle nose pliers. Well, whatever these are, they're like for some specific things, but they work pretty well. I was able to grab a bunch of small ones, and then I realized that this has like a little glue or whatever that's holding it together. So I was able to grab it with these, and I'm basically pulling the whole part out. And I haven't really dropped many inside. There were a couple that went in, but nothing too bad really. If I get a little rattle here and there, I think I'll be okay. And if it's too much, then I can actually go through the process of removing, this whole part. It's not going to be any different. But hey, look at that. That's removed. So now that we have removed it, there is a slot there's that clip for our new glass, and yeah, that piece is in there. I'm gonna try to get it with maybe put some like tape on it or something so it sticks to it. Get it out. All right, so I spent the last probably 30 minutes removing the film from the glass, and it still has a lot of glue, but I can clean the glue up later, so that's not a big deal. Now we're just gonna install the glass. What you're trying to do here is put the glass in the bracket that's inside, where I pulled that broken glass out, and of course putting the screws or bolts or whatever into the holes in the door. The main part is just make sure everything lines up. So I'm just going to use this trim piece to make sure the rubber is not holding anything back. And I do want to take a look, make sure it's inside the bracket. Does look correct. Now I can put my 10 mil bolts back in, and of course I'm just going to make them basically finger tight so the glass doesn't fall out. I just want to test it, make sure everything lines up. And then I'm going to put them to torque, spec them to torque. Kind of try to test it without having to put everything together first. Okay, that looks pretty good. I want to double check. I'm going to go check the other side and make sure that's what it's supposed to be like. And then we're almost done. All right, so I've decided to adjust it just a little bit. I noticed that this part right here wasn't as high as it was on the other side. So I'm just going to raise it maybe like 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and now try it again. Yes, much better. Here, I'll show you what I mean. So this is what I meant. You see how it now basically evenly touching the rubber here? Before this was a little bit lower, so I made sure it was correct. All right, this line is straight. This line is also straight. I think we're done as far as fitting it, make sure it's all good. Now let's torque it up. All right, so the proper torque for these bolts are 8 Newton meters or 5.9 pound-feet of torque. So that's what I'm gonna do. I have my torque wrench and I'm gonna torque them up, make sure they're all good. I'm gonna do them in stages. I don't want to put too much pressure on the glass. It's a little scary. Okay, perfect. Now it's all torqued. So far, no leaks. All right, this is the hard part. High pressure wind. All right, I think we look good. There's not a single leak that I can see. Well guys, that's about it. It's not very hard, didn't take that much time either. I tested it in the car wash and everything was fine. Hope that helped you change your window. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.